And so Harriet felt like her mother wasn't looking out for her because she couldn't do what she wanted. So that was how Harriet felt in all those situations, and that's why she's trying to tell old Golly now that, like, why? Nobody's looking out for me. Like, why should I look out for other people besides myself? So now let's talk about why old Golly says that is simply untrue. Let's rewind once again. The subway incident. The cop wouldn't give her any change. Is that because the cop is careless? No, because there were other people waiting in line trying to go through the gates while Harriet was standing there trying to push on the thing trying to get past without any money. The policeman cared about things running smoothly in that subway station, and she didn't want any of the passengers to be inconvenienced by some kid who is goofing off and trying to get into the station and on the train illegally without any money. Is the policeman looking out for Harriet by saying, no money, no subway, move along? He possibly could be, because it's important to help this kid understand the rules so that she doesn't get into anybody's way and doesn't do anything that would, cause trouble. And of course, it's only natural that the policeman would want to tell Harriet this so that, she wouldn't make this mistake again. So this policeman is thinking about Harriet's future when you think about it. And the fact that he wouldn't give Harriet a dime simply means that he understands that Harriet should learn a lesson about being more responsible with her money and not wasting on other things if riding on the subway is important. Was Harriet interested in reading that newspaper about the lady cosmonauts? Yes. Did she have to buy it and read it? No. Would have helped her get home to the TV on time? No. So Harriet probably shouldn't have bought that paper, because then she would still have money to get into the subway. And while the cop's tone was rather grumpy in that situation, I'm pretty sure that he meant well when he said, no money, no subway, get out of here. And then with Mrs. Garcia, with the mud incident, Harriet walked into the store with her muddy footprints. Was Mrs. Garcia looking out for Harriet by pointing out that Harriet's shoes were muddy? I think so, yes. Because, well, actually, Harriet could have slipped and fell on the hard floor if she didn't know that her shoes were muddy. She could have either hurt herself or broke something in that store. So Mrs. Garcia was doing something good by letting Harriet know that her shoes were muddy and, telling her to leave. Because if she hadn't, then something bad could have happened. The least being there would be muddy footprints on the floor. The worst being Harriet would slip and fall. And the gentleman with the Canadian coin, he was definitely trying to look out for Harriet by offering her some money, but he made a little mistake and pulled out what was not an American coin, but a Canadian coin, so he had the intention of being helpful there, but he just didn't have the right kind of change at that moment. The guy with the hot dog cart, I'm a little unsure about, though. Yes, Harriet should have watched where she was going. The hot dog man was correct about that, because telling a person to be careful and watch where they're going, that is a form of looking out for other people, because if people watch where they're going, then they have less chance of hurting themselves or other people. But I didn't like the way that he said it in that situation. Like, the fact that Harriet got hurt right there made me think that this guy should have at least stopped for a split second and asked if Harriet was okay, because, getting your foot run over by the wheel of a hot dog cart is pretty brutal, I would think. So maybe he was just having a bad day. I would think that he should probably do a better job of looking out for Harriet, but at least he told her to watch where she was going. That wasn't entirely bad. And now, finally, Harriet's mother. Was she looking out for Harriet by reminding her sternly that they had talked about the rule about running in the house, and then, she sent Harriet to her room? Is that a form of looking out for your kid? 100,000,000% yes. If your child does something that you've told them before not to do, especially multiple times, and they do this thing that they're not supposed to do, thinking that something else is more important than the rules that you've set in place, then yes, they should be disciplined. So I think sending Harriet to her room was the right thing for her mother to do in that situation. So you see what I'm saying here? All these situations that Harriet perceived as people not looking out for her, most of them were the people actually were looking out for her in some way or another. And I think the big reason Like, one of the main reasons why a lot of children feel like people are not looking out for them when they really are is because children don't see the future the way we grown-ups do. Harriet's mother knows that if Harriet doesn't learn to be careful in the house when people are carrying something delicate, then Harriet's going to be hurting herself and other people a lot more often potentially. And by sending Harriet to her room and taking a measure to make sure that Harriet learns that lesson, Harriet's mother is giving Harriet a gift to Harriet's future self at the cost of missing her TV show. And now in this scene here that we've come to, Harriet thinks that Old Golly's not looking out for Harriet either, because Old Golly's thinking that if she tries to relieve Harriet from her punishment, she might not learn to do better next time. Like, Harriet might continue thinking that being careless and making whatever drastic measures it takes to see your TV show on time is more important than, like, being careful in the house and around your family and other people. Like, if Harriet thinks that being careful is not important in the future, by not being punished now, like, yes, Harriet would have gotten to see the TV show now, but Old Golly would be stealing from Harriet's future self by not allowing this important disciplinary measure to follow through. Because if Harriet learns a lesson from this, then Old Golly and her mother will be giving a gift to her future self, because Harriet will have more wisdom and be more careful and caring around other people in the future. And because grown-ups have experience, they have lived their childhoods, they know what happens over a course of 20 or 30 years, they can see how this thing works in terms of growing up and becoming older and wiser and learning how to become more considerate of others. Children a lot of the time don't see that yet because they have not seen the future that grown-ups have seen. Make sense? I hope so. And while I can totally understand how this scene here might make a lot of the children who are watching a bit uncomfortable, this situation does make me feel a lot better about Old Golly, because